the College Football 27 and Madden reveals dropped, and to be honest, I'm excited for this game just as much actually as the first time the game dropped when they first dropped 25, and it was the first one in a long time. There's some really good things in this game that I really love about the game with gameplay and some updates to Dynasty, but really the gameplay aspect of it has improved drastically, and I'm excited to see it. But let's start with this trailer and see what the hype is about.
This is College Football 27.
A century of futility is forgotten. The Indiana Hoosiers are the kings of college football.
Some players who walk through that tunnel, onto that field, grew up dreaming about putting on this uniform. They've rooted for this team their whole life and want to be a part of something bigger than themselves. Some have another dream: the money, the deals, the cars, those shiny teeth. That's college football now. I get it. Everyone's got to make a name for themselves. The truth is, I don't care why you show up. I care what happens after you do.
We're having it.
I care if you love to compete. If you want every advantage. And if it turns into one thing on Saturday, winning. That's why I want you here. That's what you're here to do. And there's no better place to do it.
Okay, so the trailer was cool. It was a pretty good trailer. I mean, you can't really do but so much with trailers every single year. So the trailer was good. I don't know. I think it was really just the hype of that first game, but that first trailer it just moved me. You know, this one was like, okay, it's cool. It showed some new features. It showed the hanging mouthpieces. It was really like kind of like a presentation thing. So a different swag for your player that you can use now. I think they showed the one leg sleeve in there as well. Then they also showed some, again, more presentation things with different team intros, different turnover chain type of element things that teams incorporated, more mascots of the game. They also showed different road to glory positions. They showed that they kind of glorify you being an edge rusher now, so they have more road to glory positions. I'm not a big road to glory guy, but that's a good thing for the game. And they flashed some money, so NIL is going to be in the game. The trailer just shows what to expect in the new game, and this one was cool. It did what it was supposed to do. But next up, on to my favorite part of this new game, the gameplay. They did a lot with the gameplay.
We broke this down. You first told us that you wanted more tools defensively. The AI logic needed to be better. You wanted more control on the other side of the football, and that's why we rallied behind defense wins championships. Next is built from game day. This is our authenticity pillar. We know that every team is somebody's favorite team, and you're going to see how we delivered that this year. And then last but not least is play your way. With all the features you're going to hear tonight, the different settings, how are we giving you the tools to ultimately play your way? And now let's get to it. Defense wins championships, and it starts fundamentally. For years, one of the biggest holes that we have had to shore up that we did this year was what we call look for work. What is look for work? That's that middle linebacker seeing that drag coming right at you, and he can anticipate. In our game last year and in previous and any other football game made, defending in the zone, they didn't move until they got into their zone. That all changes here. And we're going to go right here to the film room, and we're going to see Fred Warner here. And I want you to see his ability to look for work. Love drops. He's in his hook zone. He's going to drop properly. He's going to anticipate it. Love has to make a call. We're throwing a pick.
Look, not gonna lie, that looks fire. And I know it's Madden, and I know it's the difference between Madden and college, but they kind of play the same. I know, based on overall, that Fred Warner is a higher overall linebacker, so he's kind of playing it perfectly. Versus if you use a regular guy or somebody not as good as him, but this looks good. Even the flat player being able to take the running back on the flat route, but then push back to something else coming back across the field, just how you're taught, that is perfect. This looks really good, right? It looks really good, and it makes the zone logic much better. So that looked really good. I'm excited for that because basic zone logic, it was so annoying. Drags were always open. Guys were just kind of spot dropping instead of really playing the man in their zone. So it does look better.
Is the quarterback killing you with that two ball or that deep over? Put him in ultra conservative, and he'll prefer routes and prioritize routes behind him. Here, we're going into aggressive. They're running that slant flat concept, pick six. We're going back to the crib. We are giving you more options.
Now this is perfect. This is one of the things that I do love about the new game defensively because it gives you more options. Typically, you will have to set your custom zones right then and there, and it's just so much trying to make all of these adjustments during the game and right in that moment. Because when you're playing another user, a lot of people run things based on formation. So when you recognize the formation and you're trying to set your defense, if they run a play fast enough, you're low key cooked. This is going to add to a lot of skill, and it's going to separate who really knows ball. This is tough. I like this.
What is real in real football is plaster logic. No longer are guys just standing around and just covering grass like your favorite City League flag football player. They are out here moving, attaching, locking, and ultimately clamping and hopefully giving you a better chance not to give up those big plays.
Bro, another thing that they did, this is great. Plaster logic is amazing. Scramble drill, right? So this definitely, excuse me, match up with the route. But this definitely helps a lot because I used to get so tired of playing a scrambling quarterback, and then you'll have somebody just sitting in the flats and just staring at the quarterback, not guarding anybody or not even running to the quarterback. So like you don't really take any. The person's not taking anything away. They're just in no man's land. So with this, they're going to match up with the route closest to them, and then this helps a lot, especially if you have a QB spy. This puts more pressure on the quarterback to make a play or that user that's controlling the quarterback to make the play because the spy is going to be chasing them down as well as everybody's sticking to a route.
We meet with hundreds of coaches, defensive coordinators all around the NFL and college football. And this thing here, we are now providing 25 new coverage checks. How do you want to play bunch? How do you want to play trips? How do you want to play stack? The options are endless. You can set them in the front end to then you be like your favorite coordinator.
Then all of these custom adjustments that you can do pre-game is so tough. This allows you to actually be a defensive coordinator, and it allows you to go into a game with a real game plan. Because like if I do a lot of user v user stuff, so if I'm going up against another user and I know, all right, he's running a lot of RPO this week, or all right, I know this game I'm gonna have to prepare for the quarterback scramble, or I'm gonna have to prepare for this person trying to cut back into different lanes, like whatever the case may be, you can actually prepare for it. And we'll start with the defensive line because everything's one up front in football, in my opinion. Now, you could set your defensive line aggression. So let's say you only have four really good defensive linemen. You could set your aggression to balance or even conservative so they could conserve a lot of energy so your guys can be ready for those big moments in the game. They'll probably do one move and then kind of just chill off of it. Then balanced is obviously how it normally plays, and then you could go aggressive. Let's say you play a lot of D linemen, or you just want to get a stop. You could put it on aggressive, and guys are going to be doing continuous pass rush moves and being relentless, similar to how kind of like Micah Parsons is. He'll just do a ton of moves and just have so much energy. I mean, just use a lot of energy just to try to get to the passer, and they have that relentless rush. Then you can go gap integrity. So Gap integrity, it depends on how you play, because if you're a guy that uses the linebacker and you stay in your gap, then you probably will want to put the gap integrity on conservative or keep it at a higher level to where everybody's in their gap. But if you're a guy that likes to take risk and shoot the A gap no matter what, or shoot the open gap no matter what, maybe you put your gap integrity on aggressive, so guys are worried about making big plays. They're not necessarily worried about staying in their gaps. Now, going to the secondary, cornerback depth. Last year in the game they did safety depth, safety midpoint, all that good stuff. That was great. Now you can do the same thing with the corners, and I think this is a great feature because it'll allow you to disguise coverages, but it'll also allow you to play a situations better. If you run in a team that love to run RPO, maybe you'll set your corner at 5 yards now, because all you could really do is press your corner or put them back. And then you could also show a coverage shell to make a corner show a different coverage, and maybe maybe they'll be 5 if it's cover 2. If it's quarters, they'll be at 7, whatever the case may be. But the only thing with that, you also change the linebackers and you also change the safeties. So the gap integrity in the run game, it might be messed up, or you might have a flat player. Depending on what the formation is, you might have a flat player that's on the right side of the field have to be the flat player on the left side of the field based on the coverage shell that you showed. So that was annoying for sure. This helps where now you could just bring the corner up on its own and not mess up the whole defense or not mess up the gap integrity and shell of the defense. So I think that's going to be good for sure. Now I will have to see how it plays, because if I do play cover 3 and I have my corner at 5 yards, I'm hoping he doesn't backpedal at the snap of the ball, and instead he kind of like runs out, if you will, or at least stay over top of routes at the very least. I don't, because then it'll be kind of dumb. And it'll end up just being a dumb feature that you basically get cooked on, and you can only run certain things to it. But all in all, this is a good feature. I love it. Okay, so this is more in depth on the plaster time. So you got aggressive, you have default, and you have conservative. So it's not actual seconds, but it is about pretty much the timing of the routes. So if you have it on aggressive, you'll be locking on early. It'll kind of everything will low key play like a match coverage, because once the quarterback scrambles outside the pocket, then everybody's matching up on routes. So if you are the curl player and the quarterback scrambles and there's a drag in your area, you're going to that drag. If you're the flat player and there's something behind you or something next to you, you're matching up on that route once the quarterback scrambles. Now, this can be great. This is going to be great, but I'm assuming there's going to be some cheese eventually in the game. Somebody is probably going to be able to move their quarterback in terms of scrambling and then sit in the pocket and just stay there, which will probably create some mismatches, which is fine. Every game, I mean, everything's going to have its problems, but I do think that's a good feature. Now, next up, more on the corners as well, or just defensive coverage in general, man coverage checks. So you could line it up versus stack and versus bunch. So this is going to be so tough, because usually when you play man coverage, a lot of teams go with bunch sets. They go with stack sets because obviously that is how you beat man coverage. But in this one, they allow you to play it like real life. You got combos, you got triangles, but this helps a lot. So it says stacked receivers for a combo, right? It says stacked receivers, they will swap inside and outside. So basically, if you're going up against a stack, the top receiver goes outside, the back receiver goes inside. Now they're switching off of it. No harm, no foul. One corner's got the outside, one corner got first inside. If they both got vertical, then they kind of stick on the route that they're supposed to get. That's cool. Then the triangle. So if you're playing, this is for 2-man. So it becomes a 3-on-2 with the linebacker and the corners. So you got the corner. Let's say they run. This is probably going to be good for a team that runs a 2x2 set with the running back to that side. So let's say they ran slant, flat. I'm assuming that the corner and the linebacker, they're going to switch. That nickel corner and that linebacker, they're going to switch. The nickel corner will take the flat, the linebacker will take the slant, and it's an automatic switch. The outside corner, I believe, is going to. It says 3-on-2. It says 3-on-2, so I think the outside corner may be inside in that logic as well, if I'm not mistaken, since it's 3-on-2. But that's so tough too. That's gonna be able to help a lot. Then top hat, inside defenders take back. I think that says will linebacker. Yeah. Inside defender takes the back and the will linebacker takes the front. So it's a simple flip. So this is more so for just the linebackers. So let's say you're going up against a team and we used to call it back out to your side, right? But let's say you're going up against a team and they put the running back to the right, but he'll cross the quarterback's face and go left. Instead of the linebacker to the running back side, running across the field to chase that running back, the linebacker that's already there, they'll exchange and the other linebacker will take whoever they had. So let's say it was the tight end or the slot receiver, whoever, they'll just switch. And that works perfectly. And speaking of real football, I know I'm going to sound like a broken record with saying this is tough and I love it and fire, whatever, but this is fire. Bro, you can make checks in a game. And I'm not sure. I'm thinking it will be automatic or you have to go to it. I have to see, but I'm assuming it's going to be automatic. They're making it seem like this is going to be an automatic check. If you go into a game and you know that a team is going to, if you know a team is running certain routes on certain down the distance, let's say it's third down and you want to run quarters, you can run quarters and they have checks versus a formation that you are weaker to, or if you or you know, all right, if they come out in this formation, then we can't run this play. So for example, so again, you're in quarters and now they come out in bunch. Maybe you know that they're switching on it and the zone logic is matching up zones when receivers exchange at the line of scrimmage can be a little cheesy, a little goofy. So instead, you can play it so that now you're prepared. Then the other thing is zone it, right? So zone it is no matching, pure zone. So let's say they come out in that and you're like, well, I just wanted to play more like cover four instead of quarters. I wanted to play like cover four. I don't want anybody matching up. I just want them to play their area and play their zone. Then that's also an option for it too. So that's a good adjustment because sometimes the match logic can be crazy. Especially for me, I love running cover three match versus 2x2. So I think this is a good feature for sure. It'll help.
And so how are we going to do that? That is with our brand new wide receiver DB jostle system. And now you as a user, you can attach on the move. You can get them at the stem of the route and really play with the timing of them. Or you can attach when the ball is in flight. And keep in mind, when you are attached, you are slowing the wide receiver down, thus putting yourself in the best position to make a play.
All right, this is more of a college thing, in my opinion, because you could run it in Madden, but technically that's a flag. Like you can't really touch anybody down the field technically. So we'll kind of see what that looks like. Now it sounds cool, but I think this is going to bring out and user play. This is going to bring out more user catching a lot because it probably is going to get a little cheesy. Like I could have a guy running one of those over routes, and then if you user the defender and I'm sure he'll kind of stick to him because the games are animation based. I know they say physics, but it's really animation based to be honest. So they'll run the animation and the animation is going to allow you to stick to a receiver, and I'm sure it'll be kind of glitchy looking, if you will. So I'll have to see how this plays. I don't think this is going to be that great of a feature, to be honest. I think it's going to be more annoying than helpful, but I could be wrong. Maybe it's going to look good. I'm hoping I'm wrong and it'll look good because naturally this does happen. Like if you're running an over route, you're not just going to run as a defender. You're not taught to just run next to somebody. You're taught to match somebody's route, but also attach to the hip and kind of try to cut them off and fight them to a point. Because at the end of the day, it's hard to just chase somebody across the field. So the equalizer is attaching to them. Now I gotta see. It says ball in flight, so technically that can be a little subjective. We'll have to see, or objective. I always um forget the difference, but it could, whatever the word I'm looking for. If the ball is in the air, technically you aren't supposed to touch a receiver. So we'll see if the game starts calling interception. I mean, not interceptions, pass interference on those things, or if they're just gonna let you like fight with the receiver and play it like that. I think if that's the case, that may get a little annoying. From a receiver, from a user receiver perspective, it kind of seems like this is going to be a very defensive eccentric game, which is fine with me. But in college, offense is key. So we'll see what the balance is between it.
All right, those two guys dominated in the trenches. When you looked at our game and you looked at real life, where it really broke down was, when it's goal line on goal line, big on big, 13 personnel. It just didn't look like what you see on Saturdays and Sundays until now. We've got brand new 2-player, 3-player, 4-player animations. We've got cut blocking, submarine techniques to really make it so you have to earn every yard inside those situations. My boy Kurt over here just says, yeah, it feels a lot heavier now. It's a different experience to really get those 4th and 2s, 4th and 1s.
Now, again, this is another one that looks really nice. If you're going up against an, I'll say if you're an outmatched defensive line or even an outmatched offensive line, you're going to do things like cut blocking, or you're going to, as a D line, submarine, as he said, and try to take the lineman's legs out so your backers or safeties can fight over the top and make plays. I think this is a cool feature. You're going to have to earn, like he said, earn every yard in those situations. And it'll kind of help because you're running back. As a running back, you could probably try to jump over the top of the pile and go in, and then you can match that from a defense by also jumping over the pile and going in. So I think that's cool. We'll see how the dive button works for that from a defensive perspective, though. If it allows you to jump over top, or if it's gonna just make you like dive at the ground like they normally do. If you dive at the ground, then it's gonna be kind of offensive eccentric and cheesy, but if they allow you to jump over the pile, then it'll kind of be a stalemate, and best overall will win, and that, or best positioning will win, whatever. I think that's going to be a cool feature. I like that.
And when you talk about inside the trenches, there's nothing like the quarterback sneak. And you say, what the hell am I looking at here? Yep, you got a QB sneak meter, right? And you see the green. Let's talk about the green. The green all comes in. The first thing that we look at is your center, your 2 guards, and then your quarterback. And then we say, all right, we're going to take those ratings and we're going to compare them. Do you have anybody in a zero technique? Are both A-gaps filled? And then when it goes side to side, that is all dependent on the situation. Is it a long 4th and 1? Is home field advantage rocking? What type of scenario is really at play here? But the point being, quarterback sneaks are no longer automatic. Clap that up. I know you're excited. Everybody at home is excited. We got to love the trenches. And you know the motto, if it's in the game, it's in the game, baby. The tush push. It's made its way to Madden NFL 27.
Okay, I'll be honest. I'm not really a big fan of the meter for QB sneak. I think because as he's explaining it, he's talking about how ratings come into play and how positioning comes into play. And I think that should just be calculated and let the play based on that. I don't think it should be a meter, because from a defensive perspective, we could be in perfect position. I could put a linebacker right there and then still get stuff. I mean, not still get stuff, and they still get the first down because the user is just good at greening the meter. So I think there's kind of like that kind of becomes goofy, if you will. It's not really real football. It's just about can you look at the meter and time it right? That's gonna be pretty annoying. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know. I'm not really a big fan of this. I think it's gonna be cheesy and I think it's gonna be dumb. Now, obviously, different quarterbacks have better QB sneak ratings based on strength, I'm assuming, and things like that. So the meter will move based on that, and I guess that does bring some realism to it. But ultimately, I do think it should be based on the gameplay playing out and the AI kind of letting it play out versus a user controlling it. Or even give me an opportunity on defense to kind of do it, because this is the guy that made 2K anyway. So at least give me an option to shake the screen or something. I don't know. Shake the screen, give me an ability to where the quarterback sneak meter is invisible, or you can give me a meter as well. And the person that gets closer to the green gets it. And if both guys get perfect releases I say releases like it's 2K, but get perfect green windows, then then the user then you can kind of do that fight for fumble from the old school Madden, where you kind of repeatedly tap the button to get it. Like, I don't know. I think it could have been more user based, and I think it could have been a little better than just having a green window. The green window is going to be annoying. That's just my opinion.
All right, let's get into play your way. And nothing screams play your way like timing-based catching. Timing-based catching for years, whether it's the toe drag swag, the catch in traffic, trying to moss somebody, that has all been subject to ratings until now. And let's talk about what you're dealing with here. Red, you're too late. You dropped it. All right, take your ass back to the huddle. Let's get to a new play. Next, we're slightly early. When it goes into early, we're back into ratings. And the size of your yellow depends on how good your receiver is. And then there's green. You know my background. You know the kids love greens, right? But here's the thing with the greens. The greens are dynamic. This all depends on the situation. How good is your receiver? Who's covering him? How covered is he? What type of catch are you going for? Point being is that now, for the first time ever, the choice is yours. And then what else I love it? Oh, gee, I can't catch the ball, man. Your game's broke. Fix your game, man. Okay, well, go turn the setting on, pal. Here you go. Go have at it. All right? And then, two, it works on both sides of the ball. So you want to clamp up and then hit your TBC, go have at it.
So timing-based catching, I'm having mixed emotions about it because it ultimately feels like 2K lately. I mean, it says late, slightly early, perfect. Like, this is essentially 2K, and it makes sense because if you could correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but the guy that's talking right now that has taken over the gameplay or led the gameplay over the years originally worked with 2K, and you could see him bringing a lot of those features to the game with all these green windows and things like that. I'm just hoping it doesn't turn into a cheese fest, if you will. If you're getting doubled and you're going up for a pass and you come down with it because you green it, that'll be really annoying, especially if like if you're a spectacular catch feature, I mean, your attribute is super high, then okay, I'm fine with it. But I hope it doesn't. But again, I hope it doesn't turn into a cheese fest. Then also, I know in 2K, like, it kind of changed now with tempo, with the tempo thing. But over the past years, like, if you could be wide open 3 plays in a row, 5 plays in a row, and miss a shot because you didn't green it, like, that is annoying. So I'm hoping it doesn't look like that with Madden and college football, to where if you don't green the catch, then you drop it. And even if you're wide open, like, that's going to be annoying because it's going to be a feature that you have to get used to. So sometimes you might even forget to, oh shoot, I do have to go up and catch it. And I know you could turn this feature off, but I'm assuming it's going to be a big advantage for the person that has it on. So, or I mean, I guess if you play CPU, you don't have to have it on. But if you're going up against a user, I'm assuming it's probably better to have it on, because if the other person does have it on and you have it off, they're probably going to have the advantage.
All right, now we're moving on to custom adjustments. Some of you out here tried to leak it. You tried. No, winners win out here. There's only so much you were going to be able to do, right? There's a lot more meat on this bones, all right? Custom adjustments are about giving players their own unique football language. You see it every Saturday and Sunday. There's a call. They're going to a combo call. There's a big macro that has multiple adjustments on one call, and now you can do that here. You're going to go into your custom adjustments. You're going to create your custom adjustment. Everything that we've ever had at pre-snap or at coaching adjustment is available to you. From there, you name it, and you can make up to 20 on offense and then make 20 on defense. The catch, Nick, you like this. The catch is you can only go into game with 10. 10 on offense and 10 on defense, okay? Now I've made a custom adjustment. How do I call it? Well, look at your favorite play, figure out which one you're going to call. We're looking at cover 3 sky here, fellas. We just hold down that button right next to your stunts and twists. There's your macro. That's your custom adjustment right there. You can go and get busy. All right, then let's say you come out in pre-play and someone's running some type of cheese. You go, okay, well, I got something for this. I'm going to tap L1. L1 is our custom adjustment button. You go there, you hit L1 and call whatever one you got. Right? You got 10 of them to choose. You got all the options you want, right? All right, we're starting to cook here. So now, typically, I'm going to press my DBs up. I'm going to pinch my line, show blitz. I would have went through multiple different stages just to get to this. Now I've got it all in 2. All in 2. Yeah, shout out. Yep, you know what time it is. Winners win. We don't play around here, you know? We're making it, this is the best right here. And let's get to this. When you talk about custom adjustments, one of my favorite parts of this feature, and there's a ton of you in here, right? There's a lot of what I call 1%ers that are the best of the best, but there are a lot who love the game, who play the game, who play it, and they're sitting next to their buddy. Dude, I know you're scrambling. I know you're running. I know you are. How do I stop it, right? And you don't want to deal with the sweat fest. Rob Jones does not want to deal with the sweat fest at the line of scrimmage. So therefore, he just hits L1, presses A, and now he's got both ends in contain. He's got a QB spy, and we are clamping up that quarterback scramble. Ben Kurt, we're loving that, aren't you, buddy? Yep, shout it out to it. All right, this is everything. You got all these types of defaults on offense and defense. You've never had control at this level before.
Now back to gameplay, the exciting stuff for me. Like the exciting stuff for me in terms of these adjustments. Now you can make custom adjustments that show up in the end game and you can go to them right away. You can check and make something. You can make your defense play over top, underneath, inside leverage. You can attach it to just the linebackers. You can attach it just to the secondary, or you can attach it to the whole defense. And now you don't have to be doing all that. You don't have to do all the button clicking. It'll just go to it. Maybe your linebackers, maybe you could set your linebackers to mug. Maybe you could maybe the preset setting your defensive ends are containing the quarterback. Maybe you want to spy. Like this will help a lot with that. You could just, by one click of a button, all of those fancy adjustments that you do at the pre-snap, when you do all the clicking and all that crap, that is going to, you could do that with one button. So I think that's going to be tough. Now, what I also like is for the custom adjustments, you can have your own custom adjustments, but then there's also built-in custom adjustments at the snap for the game. You have, I believe, some options. It says play QB scramble, play short routes, no deep passes, play the screen, fake pressure, bring the house, play inside runs, play outside runs. Like this is going to be good for, this is going to be a good feature, especially if you are playing somebody that's formation based. Based on that formation, you can say, oh, all right, I know exactly what play they're running. They're about to run the screen. Let's go ahead and play the screen. Or it's third down and you're like, oh, shoot, I'm expecting quarterback scramble. You can go ahead and stop the scramble on that. Oh, shoot, they're coming out in trips. Usually they run short routes versus trips, or 2x2, they're running drags and slants, whatever. You can hit play short routes. If you're expecting deep routes, of course, play the deep pass. Like this is something that is easy and something that makes gameplay so much more impactful and less stressful for people that recognize different formations at the snap of the ball, like pre-snap kind of thing. But that's all for this video, and I'm excited for this game. I'm excited for this game. Expect a lot of college football 27 content coming out and coming your way once the game drops. This is going to be fun to do. The coaching adjustments, it allows you to set them pregame, so now you don't have to worry about doing all of this stuff at the beginning of the game, especially when you're going up against a user. Then it allows you to have more control over over cheese plays and bunch. You can triangle slash combo. We used to call it banjo. You can also do. You can also make coaching adjustments to stop certain things like the quarterback scramble. You can allow your zone coverage to play a little better and play smarter for situational football. You got ultra aggressive, you got aggressive, you got conservative and ultra conservative. Those are different things to help you play different routes better. And they're also looking for work. You got plaster, where when the quarterback gets outside the pocket, everybody's attaching to a route. Like, there's a lot of different features in this game to make this game fun and make it more playable and make it so it's not just one sided and you're not looking at it like, especially for me, guys that, me, a guy that knows ball and a guy that actually loves to play the game, but have it feel realistic. You can you can add your you can add your own touch to the game to make it more realistic and make it feel like an actual football game and feel like you actually have control over things. Now, obviously, there's things that I'm questioning dynasty points. It kind of seems like maybe they're going to create an open world eventually to have a currency for the whole entire game. I could be wrong, but that's just my perspective on that. The quarterback sneak meter, I think that's gonna end up being cheesy, and I also think the timing based catching may get a little cheesy too. But they're trying and they're working, and he said this was the most in depth gameplay ever, and I agree with it. And he's bringing, again, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but he's bringing a lot of the stuff they did with 2K. I mean, that they've done with 2K over the years, when he was in charge of it at least, or in the mix of it. He's bringing a lot of those features to the football games, because in 2K, like, you could set your offensive adjustments, you could set your defensive adjustments, and you could set how you're playing every type of screen there is on a game. You could set if everybody's going to be loose, everybody's going to play tight, and you could also set it for specific players. So it just gives you more control, similar to how 2K does, and allows you to play real football, because nobody just lines up and plays caveman football anymore. Like, there's adjustments that you're going to make based on what teams do, and now these features and these settings allow you to do that. So again, looking forward to the game. Let me know in the comments what y'all think about the game. But I'm excited for it, and I'm definitely going to be playing it early.